pop quiz. Which of these do you think are taxable in Canada? A $2 million cash gift, a $50 million lottery win, or $100 million of investment gains? The answer, it's a trick question, is potentially none of them. Not because I know some secret tax loophole, but because Canada's tax system has rules that most people simply don't know exist. So let me teach you what years of experience has taught me, so that by the end of this video, you'll know 8 completely legal tax rules that can save you anywhere from thousands to potentially millions of dollars. Let's start with the first one. You've probably heard of it. I've made many videos about this, but you probably don't realize how ridiculous it actually is. What's the maximum amount of money you can make inside a tax-free savings account before the CRA taxes you? Is it $1 million? Is it 10 million? The answer is there isn't one. The contribution limit is capped, but the growth isn't. If you somehow turned your TFSA into $100 million, you could potentially withdraw every dollar tax-free, even if you turned it into $1 billion. I've personally grown mine to over $800,000 over the last 16 years. That obviously took a lot of risk, but the point is, the government decide, okay, you've made too much. As long as you're investing and you're not running it like a day trading business, like I might be, those gains remain completely tax-free. The crazy part is less than half of Canadian adults have even opened one and have contributed to it this year. But it's one of the greatest wealth building tools that Canadians have available to them. But somehow it's not even the craziest rule on this list. Imagine checking your lottery ticket tomorrow and realizing you've just won the Lotto Max $50 million. Or you were on a game show and you somehow won the same amount. How much does the government take? In Canada, nothing. Lottery winnings aren't taxable. If you win $50 million, you keep $50 million. That's very different from the United States, where large prizes can create enormous tax bill. Years ago, Oprah famously gave her audience, every single person in the audience, a brand new car. It became one of the most iconic moments in TV history and meme history when she started shouting, "You get a car, you get a car, everyone gets a car." Except there was a problem. All the people who received a car suddenly owed thousands of dollars in taxes just for accepting the prize, even though it wasn't a game show. Some people reportedly sold the cars, or even declined to get them because they suddenly owned, I think it was $6,000 to $8,000, and it was a pretty big tax bill. Canada works differently. Whether it's the lottery jackpot, casino winnings, or most gambling winnings, you generally don't pay income tax on the prize. You just collect it. So while Americans may spend day one figuring out their tax bill, Canadians spend day one figuring out where they're going on vacation. But winning the lottery is rare. What if someone simply gave you millions instead? So imagine your parents wire you $2 million tomorrow morning. How much tax do you owe? Is that even something you're thinking about? The answer is zero. Canada doesn't have a gift tax on cash. Your parents, your grandparents, or a friend, so someone not related to you, it doesn't matter. If someone gives you cash, you don't report it as income, which is great. But now notice I mentioned cash. Real estate or stocks or other assets have completely different rules. But cash, millions of dollars, can legally change hands without triggering income tax for the recipient. Compare that to the United States, where gift tax rules are much more complicated. They don't have an official rule, but one famous example happened like 20 years ago when Birdman gave Lil Wayne $1 million US for his birthday. The IRS reportedly looked into it. They looked into the transfer to see if it should have tax consequences. Meanwhile, in Canada, if someone wants to send you $1 million in cash, the CRA generally won't treat it as income simply because you received it. It's a genuine gift. But if you think someone giving you $1 million is rare, wait until you see what happens when you build a business and sell it, because that's where the tax savings can become even bigger. Suppose you sell a business for a $1.2 million gain. There is a lifetime capital exemptions rule where you may pay zero tax on the first $1.2 million. Now, it's a weird number, it's 1.2, and it indexes every year with inflation, so it'll go up 2 or 3% every year. What's interesting is that this loophole isn't like hidden in the tax code. It's there on purpose, mainly to make the rich richer. The government created it to encourage entrepreneurship by rewarding people who build Canadian businesses. And the exemption is a lifetime cumulative exemption, which means if you only use part of it today, the rest remains available for the future sale. If you sell one business and you only claim $400,000 of gain, you haven't lost the exemption. You simply used that part of it, and you can leave that balance for later. You can sell 3 businesses for a total of $1.2 million if you're that lucky or that smart. If you can plan properly and you give your family members shares when you start the business, each person may be able to claim their own exemption. So suddenly the tax savings can become enormous. $1.2 million for you can be $10 million for your family as a whole. But even that requires building a business. The next strategy works with just borrowed money. You've heard the saying, it takes money to make money. So wealthy people often think differently. They use other people's money. They take the risk. Here's what I mean. Let's say you borrow money from the bank to invest. You're paying interest on that loan every month or every year. And in many cases, because that borrowed money was taken out for the purpose of earning income, the interest portion is tax deductible. So in other words, the government helps reduce the after-tax cost of borrowing because the loan is being used to generate income. This idea exists at the highest levels as well. You've probably heard stories of billionaire CEOs who famously announce that they take little to no salary, but if people are asking how do they pay their bills, in many cases, instead of selling their shares and triggering taxes, they borrow against the value of those shares on margin. Usually there might be a margin call if the stocks go low enough, but it's commonly referred to as borrow, buy, borrow, die. The investments continue growing. They access cash through loans, and because borrowing money isn't considered income, they're often able to avoid realizing taxable gains for long periods of time. But of course, this strategy isn't for everyone because borrowing also increases risk enormously, but it illustrates an important principle. Sometimes the tax system rewards how you earn the money just as much as how much you earn. Speaking of assets that can grow enormously in value, there's one Canadian investment almost everyone will hope will appreciate, and the tax rules around it are surprisingly generous. Imagine buying a house for $500,000. Years later, you sell it for $1.5 million. You've made $1 million profit. For many Canadians, you owe zero tax thanks to the principal residence exemption. The gain on the home that you ordinarily live in can be completely tax-free. It's one of the biggest reasons home ownership has created so much wealth in Canada. One thing many people don't realize, though, is that many married or common law couples generally share one principal residence designation every year, so you can't claim separate exemptions on different homes at the same time. Still, for most Canadians, it's one of the most valuable tax benefits they'll ever receive. Here's a question that catches a lot of people off guard. If your parents very conveniently leave you a $5 million inheritance, how much tax do you pay when you receive it? For most Canadians, the answer is zero. Many people automatically assume inheritances come with a huge tax bill, but it's not in Canada. If you inherit cash, stocks, or real estate or other assets, you generally don't pay tax simply because you receive them. Now, that's different than saying no tax has ever been paid. The estate itself may owe tax before the assets are distributed, but once you inherit them, the CRA suddenly doesn't treat the inheritance as employment income. For example, if you inherit a property worth $10 million, thank your parents, and you sell it the next day for $10 million, there's no capital gain. You didn't make any money. If you sell it for $11 million, you'll pay tax on that $1 million increase, not the original $10 million that you inherited. Understanding these differences can save you from making very expensive mistakes. And finally, here's one of the least known tax rules on the list, something that feels illegal, but it isn't. Imagine never having to work another day because your investments pay you $50,000 a year. That's roughly the magic number. Most people assume you'd pay income tax on every dollar, but not necessarily. Because of Canada's dividend tax system, someone with no other income can receive roughly $50,000 a year in eligible dividends. The key term is eligible dividends here, not ineligible. There's a difference. You can pay little or even no income tax. Think about that. Someone earning $50,000 like a salary usually pays income tax, but someone earning the same amount through eligible dividends may pay dramatically less because of the dividend tax credit. Now, here's a catch. Obviously, to generate $50,000 a year in dividends, you need a substantial investment portfolio. This isn't a strategy that creates wealth. It's a strategy that helps preserve wealth once you've built it. So imagine both spouses have their investment portfolios. Each may benefit individually. And this is why wealthy families spend so much time thinking about how they earn income, not just how much they earn. So when most people think about taxes, they focus on tax rates, wealthy people focus on tax rules, and that's a very different mindset. If there's one thing I hope you take away from this video, it's not that you should spend your life trying to avoid taxes, it's that understanding the rules helps you keep more of the money you worked so hard to earn. But after working with clients for years, I've realized something. Keeping more money is only half the battle, because once you build the wealth, the bigger question becomes, how do you stop money from controlling you? And believe it or not, I think The Lord of the Rings has one of the best answers. I'll explain why in this video. I'll link it somewhere here. Thanks for watching and tune in to the next one.